Now we're going to learn how to build a basic track line. While you're traveling along the sea, you can't just be taking fixes all the time, or obviously you need to be, but that doesn't help you unless you know where you're actually trying to be. So whenever you lay out a course, a voyage plan, or you get a fix, find a new position, and then decide where you're going to go from there, you actually have to plot down a track line of just what track you intend to follow along the course. So that obviously at first has to begin with a position. So let's say we take a GPS fix here. I don't care about the exact position of the GPS fix, what its exact coordinates are, but when you do a GPS fix, you just mark its latitude and its longitude where they intersect, and you get it right there. Again, you would actually have to measure what its coordinates are, but I would, for time's sake, I'm just going to skip that part and plot right here. And then remember, because it's GPS fix, you mark it with a square, and then you place a time. So let's say this happens to be at 0800. So you're here at 0800. But let's say from here, you decide you want to go on course 135. That's the direction you're trying to head. So as you can see, because there's the southern tip of Long Island, you're headed out to sea because you're headed southeasterly. So now you measure out an angle of 135. So you find your nearest meridian, place the window right on the meridian, and then angle it so that 135 is in position. There you go. 135 is, exactly halfway between 090 and 180. So that makes it easy because they give that halfway line there. So you can measure out that halfway line. Then you slide it down to come so that the edge passes straight through the 080 mark. But this is a pretty short distance. So then you could place your second triangle here. So you could slide your triangle forward. Now you have a much larger edge to work with. You can draw a line going in the direction of 135 off of your 080 fix. And you can treat this as your track line. This is the path you're trying to follow from this position moving forward. Now, this isn't complete until you label it, though. This on its own is just a line on a piece of paper. So what you have to do now is you have to create a label explaining what it is you're going to be doing. How you write this label, it varies. People do it different ways. The way I was taught is you take the line, you place a smaller line parallel to it, just a little ways off. Right up there is good, and just a spot that it's easy to read. And then you label C for course, 135 degrees true, and then you place an arrow here. So what this means is, here's your track line. It is going course 135 degrees true, headed this way. Then underneath that, along the same line, you would label your speed. So in this situation, just for simplicity's sake, let's say we're going 15 knots. So then you would write SP15KTS. And now this is a complete track line because you have your starting position, you have the direction you're headed, and you have your label explaining it, so that anyone could come up to this track line, look here, and see very clearly, okay, so here, you're starting here at 0800 and you're going on course 135 at 15 knots down this track here. Nice and easy. This is the way I was taught. Some people write that right on the track itself, and you have the course on the top and the speed on the bottom. Some people make this into the arrow. It varies. It's not important that you learn specifically one way and not others, but you should have a flexibility to move between them. Now, this is just the basics of a track line. But let's say you were to then reach a waypoint and you wanted to change course. So let's say you have a waypoint, doesn't matter, right here. And right there. Now you're not here yet. You're only right here. So this is not a fix. This is just a location along your track line. So you have to label it as such. So waypoints are usually labeled with a circle where two of the quadrants were shaded in, almost looking like the hazmat logo or similar to it. That way people know this is not a true position. This is just where you are going to change course or change speed or whatever you need to do next. They're usually also numbered. So in this case, we'll just number it 1. And then let's place another track moving off of it. From there, I'll say you change course to 080. So you measure out 080, place it in position, make sure it's always perfect, and then you draw a line a decent distance away. There. Okay, so that's your line. Now you're going to label it again. There's a lot of stuff up here just with this depth curve and these meridians and stuff, so it might be difficult to see up here. So while this isn't always necessarily best practice, you can just put your label down here if that's the easiest location to place it where you could read it. And you'll label that course 080 degrees true with the direction, and speed, let's say 15 knots. You didn't change your speed. So there is a basic track line there, starting from your original position, headed down this course, changing course at this waypoint, and then headed up here. Both of these are labeled. Next, we'll get into dead reckoning positions to actually mark these.